They were once Hollywood's golden faces, captivating audiences on the big screen, dazzling on magazine covers, and stealing every red carpet moment. But in the ruthless chase for eternal youth and flawless perfection, some stars crossed a line they could never uncross. The outcome? Jaw-dropping transformations that stripped away not only their beauty, but their careers, and in some cases, their happiness. These are the cautionary tales of dreams turned to dust and fame fading into heartbreak. Stay with us, and don't forget to hit subscribe, as we reveal how chasing the spotlight can sometimes plunge you straight into the shadows. Simon Cowell built an empire on brutal honesty, whether he was tearing into hopefuls on American Idol or delivering razor-sharp critiques on Britain's Got Talent. But when the spotlight turned to his own face, the music mogul who prided himself on confidence and control was blindsided by the last person he ever expected, his young son. Over the years, Simon became increasingly candid about using cosmetic procedures to keep that signature, youthful edge. What started as small touch-ups eventually snowballed into a series of aggressive treatments, including multiple facelifts. At first, the differences were barely noticeable. But as time went on, the changes became impossible to ignore. The once rugged, distinguished features that had defined his public persona began to morph. His cheeks sat unnaturally high. His skin was pulled so tight it created a windswept effect. His expression settled into a near-permanent look of surprise, worlds away from the composed, sharp-eyed judge audiences knew so well. Then came the moment that pierced deeper than any tabloid headline. One day at home, his son Eric looked up at him and innocently asked, "Dad, what happened to your face?" That unfiltered question cut through the Hollywood gloss, hitting Simon harder than any critic ever could. In later interviews, he admitted he had gone too far, even comparing his altered reflection to something out of a horror film. For a man who'd built his brand on being untouchable, it was a rare moment of raw vulnerability. Since then, Simon has worked to undo some of the damage, dialing back the procedures and focusing instead on healthy living. Diet, exercise, and embracing a more natural approach to aging have replaced the relentless chase for cosmetic perfection. His transformation has become a cautionary tale in Hollywood, proof that even the most powerful figures in entertainment can fall victim to the pressure of looking forever young. In the end, Simon's journey serves as a simple but powerful truth. Sometimes, less really is more, and authenticity will always outshine artificial perfection. And this isn't the end of our story. Up next, a transformation so extreme, it shocked fans and completely redefined what it means to control your own image. Joan Rivers wasn't just a comedy legend. She was a hurricane in heels, tearing through Hollywood's glass ceilings with a punchline in one hand and a scalpel joke in the other. With razor-sharp wit and a fearless tongue, she could turn anything into a laugh, even her own face. While other stars tiptoed around their cosmetic work, Joan turned hers into a running gag, practically making her plastic surgeon a supporting character in her act. Her journey into the world of enhancement started early. At just 32, she went under the knife for her first eye lift, a bold move in an era when most women in showbiz kept such things tightly under wraps. But Joan? That was just the warm-up. Over the decades, she tried almost every procedure in the beauty playbook: facelifts, Botox, rhinoplasty, liposuction, you name it. She once joked she'd had so much work done, she was the poster girl for plastic surgery. And she said it with pride, not apology. Her openness was revolutionary, stripping away the shame that often clung to conversations about aging and beauty. Of course, her evolving look drew its share of criticism. By her later years, some said she'd gone too far. Joan didn't care. To her, cosmetic surgery wasn't about vanity, it was about power. It was about staying in the game in an industry that discards women after a certain birthday. She saw it as armor, a way to keep her confidence sharp and her presence undeniable. In doing so, Joan cracked open a cultural conversation. She gave celebrities, and everyday people, the permission to say, "Yes, I've had work done," without ducking their heads. She proved you could own your choices, whether you stayed natural or embraced every enhancement in the book. When she passed in 2014, Joan left behind more than a groundbreaking comedy career. She left a legacy of unapologetic self-expression, showing the world that humor, honesty, and the guts to be yourself are as powerful as any punchline. And if you thought Joan's plastic surgery tales were wild, just wait, our next celebrity didn't just change their face. They used surgery to completely reinvent their identity. Pete Burns. When it comes to extreme plastic surgery tales, few are as jaw-dropping or as unforgettable as his. In the mid-1980s, Pete burst onto the scene as the flamboyant, androgynous frontman of Dead or Alive, captivating the world with his hypnotic voice and the infectious hit "You Spin Me Round" like a record. But as the years passed, the spotlight shifted. The headlines stopped talking about his music and started fixating on the ever-changing canvas of his face. It all began innocently enough, a nose job to fix a break. But what should have been a quick repair became the first step in a lifelong, all-consuming obsession. One surgery turned into 4, each reshaping his nose until it was almost unrecognizable. Then came the cheekbone implants, sharp, chiseled, and impossibly angular, as if carved from marble. But it was his lips that truly stopped people in their tracks. Multiple rounds of overfilled augmentations transformed them into a signature feature that tabloids couldn't stop photographing. But beauty, at least in Pete's world, came at a cost. Some procedures went disastrously wrong. Botched fillers left him battling painful infections, swelling so severe that doctors once had to perform emergency surgery just so he could open his mouth again. By his own count, he endured more than 300 cosmetic procedures, pushing the boundaries far beyond what even the most image-obsessed stars would dare. To Pete, it was art, a living, breathing expression of his creativity and individuality. To others, it was a sobering reminder of the razor-thin line between self-expression and self-destruction. When he passed away in 2016 at just 57, he left behind a complicated legacy, a fearless pop icon, a walking piece of performance art, and a cautionary tale about the extreme pressures fame can place on appearance. And if you think this transformation was shocking, just wait. The next one on our list goes so far, so fast, that even Hollywood insiders were left speechless. Heidi Montag. In the glittering, high-drama world of reality TV, few transformations have ever hit the public like hers. Back on the hills, Heidi was the fresh-faced girl next door, sweet, relatable, and instantly adored. But in 2010, she shocked not just her fans, but an entire industry. Overnight, the wholesome blonde everyone knew unveiled a completely different face, after undergoing 10 cosmetic procedures in a single day. It was more than a makeover. It was a media earthquake. Heidi called it her pursuit of physical perfection. But instead of small, subtle tweaks, the results were extreme. So extreme that she was nearly unrecognizable. Her new look sparked a firestorm of headlines, late-night jokes, and a nationwide debate about Hollywood's obsession with beauty and the dangerous lengths fame can push someone to. The list of surgeries was staggering. Cheek implants that erased her youthful softness and replaced it with sharp, model-like contours. A chin reduction that altered the natural harmony of her features. A second nose job, refining the bridge and tip until her profile was slimmer, sleeker, and farther removed from the girl viewers once knew. A brow lift that arched her eyebrows high, giving her what some called a permanently surprised expression. And lips, plumped to perfection, commanding attention the moment she walked into a room. While Heidi initially embraced the mirror's new reflection, the reality behind the scenes was anything but glamorous. The recovery was agonizing. The emotional toll was heavier than she ever imagined. In later interviews, she admitted regret, not just for the surgeries, but for how quickly and drastically she had changed. Underneath it all was the crushing pressure of fame, the constant scrutiny, and the belief that perfection was the only way to stay relevant. Today, Heidi's focus has shifted. She's a wife, a mother, and an advocate for self-acceptance, openly warning others about the risks of chasing an ideal that doesn't exist. Her transformation remains one of reality television's most infamous and cautionary moments. And if you think Heidi's story was intense, wait until you meet the next celebrity. Someone who didn't just change their face, they built an entirely new identity. What's coming next will leave you speechless. Courtney Cox will forever live in the hearts of millions as Monica Geller, the spirited, lovable soul of Friends. But away from Central Perk and the laughter of sitcom audiences, her real-life story is far more intimate and strikingly relatable. It's the story of what happens when you're one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, and the clock keeps ticking in an industry obsessed with staying forever young. For Courtney, the pressure was never spoken aloud, but it was always there, a constant, invisible weight urging her to hold on to that fresh, vibrant look the world adored. Like so many others in Hollywood, it started innocently enough. A little Botox here, a touch of dermal filler there. Just small, harmless tweaks, or so she thought. But over the years, those tiny changes began to stack up, reshaping her face in ways she never intended. Her once warm, expressive features slowly shifted. Her cheeks looked fuller, her forehead smoother, almost too smooth, and her smile, fans noticed, didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. The woman staring back at her in the mirror felt unfamiliar. To her credit, Courtney never hid from the truth. In a 2017 interview, she openly admitted what many stars never would, that she no longer recognized herself. The very procedures meant to keep her looking like her had, in her own words, made her look like someone else entirely. That moment of clarity changed everything. With remarkable courage, she chose to dissolve all her fillers and step away from the endless cycle of fixes. Instead, she embraced the beauty of aging naturally, even in a world where wrinkles are often treated like flaws. Today, the lines on her face are no longer something to erase. They're proof of a life well lived, marked by laughter, love, and unforgettable experiences. In doing so, Courtney became something rare in Hollywood, a woman who reversed course, proving that real beauty isn't about fighting time, it's about owning every chapter it writes. Her story is a reminder that grace is born from self-acceptance, and that confidence will always outshine cosmetic perfection. But stay tuned, because our next celebrity's transformation wasn't born of regret. It was a deliberate, jaw-dropping statement, one the entire world couldn't stop talking about. Mickey Rourke's long, complicated journey through cosmetic surgery is a stark reminder that even procedures meant to heal can lead to results no one saw coming, and sometimes, they can't be undone. In the 1980s, Rourke was Hollywood's definition of rugged charm. With smoldering performances in 9.5 Weeks and Angel Heart, he wasn't just a leading man, he was a heartthrob, the kind of star who could stop you in your tracks with a glance. But in the 90s, he walked away from the cameras and into the boxing ring, a move that would alter his face and his life forever. The sport took a brutal toll. Multiple injuries shattered his nose and cheekbones, forcing him into extensive reconstructive surgeries. Over the years, he endured 5 operations on his nose alone, plus major repairs to his facial bones. At first, the goal was simple: fix what the ring had broken. But as the procedures piled up, the man on screen slowly drifted from the one audiences remembered. His once sharp, perfectly balanced features became fuller and uneven, possibly from implants or fat grafts. Botox and fillers smoothed his skin, but also left it taut, almost wax-like, especially around his lips and forehead. Fans noticed. So did the tabloids. The criticism could be ruthless. To his credit, Mickey never hid from the truth. He's admitted he went to the wrong surgeon, and that some of the work only made things worse. That candor earned him something rare in Hollywood: respect. People saw a man who had been battered by fame, injury, and the crushing pressure to look a certain way, yet still stood tall. And stand tall he did. His raw, Oscar-nominated turn in The Wrestler and his unforgettable role in Sin City proved his talent was untouchable. Whatever the mirror showed, Mickey's story became both a cautionary tale and a testament to resilience. Because sometimes, real strength isn't in hiding the scars, it's in owning them. And just when you think Mickey's transformation couldn't be topped, the next celebrity on our list didn't just change their face, they reinvented their entire public identity. What's coming will make you do a double take. Sharon Osbourne has built an entire career on her razor-sharp wit, unfiltered opinions, and fearless honesty. Whether stealing the spotlight on reality TV, commanding the stage as a talk show host, or masterminding the career of her rock legend husband, Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon has never been one to hold back. But in 2021, she faced a moment even she couldn't joke her way through, a cosmetic procedure gone wrong that would dominate headlines and shake her confidence. It was meant to be a simple refresh, a routine facelift to match the vibrant energy she still felt inside. The surgery lasted 5.5 hours, and Sharon imagined she'd step out looking subtly younger, maybe just a little more rested. But when the bandages came off, the mirror told a different story. Her cheeks were unnaturally pulled, her skin stretched so tight it gave her face a rigid, almost mask-like expression. One eye appeared higher than the other, and her mouth had taken on a slight, uneven twist. The change was so drastic that even Ozzy, who had seen Sharon through every hair color, every bold style, every fearless transformation, was stunned into silence. True to form, Sharon met the shock with humor, quipping that she now looked like Quasimodo. But behind the quick jokes was something far more real: horror, disappointment, and a quiet grief for the face she once knew. In candid interviews, she admitted the results left her shaken and even made her consider corrective surgery. But in the end, she chose acceptance over another round under the knife. Instead of hiding, she spoke out, warning others about the risks of chasing perfection through cosmetic procedures. Her candor turned what could have been another forgettable Hollywood surgery mishap into a raw, cautionary tale about self-image, aging, and the steep emotional cost of beauty in the spotlight. Sharon's story is proof that even the most confident, outspoken stars can be vulnerable when it comes to their reflection, and that true strength often comes from owning the aftermath. And if you think her facelift was shocking, just wait, because the next celebrity on our list underwent a transformation so extreme, it didn't just change their face. It rewrote their entire identity. Igor and Grichka Bogdanov were once the crown jewels of French television, a pair of impossibly handsome, razor-sharp twins who, in the late 1970s, brought the wonders of science fiction into living rooms across Europe. With their aristocratic cheekbones, chiseled jaws, and an intoxicating blend of intellect and charm, they became cultural icons. Audiences tuned in not just for their mind-bending takes on space and time, but for that twin magnetism that felt almost otherworldly. But by the late 1990s, the conversation began to shift. And it wasn't about physics, ratings, or primetime specials. It was about their faces. Subtle changes at first, barely noticeable, soon gave way to a transformation that seemed to defy the laws of nature itself. The twins, ever enigmatic, brushed it off as part of a technological experiment, delivered with the same mysterious flair that made them famous. The press wasn't buying it. Whispers of plastic surgery grew into a media chorus, and the Bogdanovs' evolving look became a tabloid fixation. By the early 2000s, the transformation was undeniable. Their cheekbones jutted forward like marble sculptures, their chins sharpened into dramatic angles, their lips plumped, and their skin stretched into a glossy, almost porcelain sheen, likely the handiwork of relentless fillers and Botox. The result was mesmerizing and unsettling. At events like the 2009 Cannes Film Festival, their faces drew more attention than the films themselves. To many, they now looked like characters ripped straight from the sci-fi universes they once presented on television. The irony was impossible to ignore. Instead of hiding from the scrutiny, Igor and Grichka embraced it, leaning into the myth, teasing interviewers, and even laughing along at the extraterrestrial nicknames the internet gave them. Love them or mock them, you couldn't look away. Then, in 2021, came the final twist in their extraordinary saga, both brothers passing away within days of each other from COVID-19 complications. Their legacy remains one part pop culture fascination, one part scientific curiosity, and one of the most dramatic celebrity transformations the world has ever seen. And if you think the Bogdanovs redefined the boundaries of human appearance, wait until you meet our next celebrity, someone whose transformation didn't just spark headlines, but reshaped beauty standards for an entire generation. Regine Aronezinga's story is one of the most chilling cautionary tales in the history of cosmetic enhancements, a heartbreaking blend of tragedy, resilience, and unshakable courage. Back in 2005, in the midst of her gender transition, Raji longed to soften and refine her features. Like so many others, she faced the staggering costs of professional procedures. Desperate for a more affordable option, She put her trust in someone she believed was a qualified practitioner. What she didn't know was that she was about to walk straight into a nightmare. Instead of medical-grade fillers, her injector pumped her face with a horrifying cocktail of industrial materials: cement, tire sealant, and mineral oil. Substances never meant to touch human skin. At first, the changes were subtle, but over time, her cheeks hardened into painful, uneven lumps, distorting the natural symmetry of her face. Her lips and chin grew unnaturally stiff, and every glance in the mirror became a brutal reminder of the irreversible damage. The physical disfigurement was only part of her pain. Emotionally, Raji was shattered. She retreated from the world, hiding from friends, avoiding cameras, suffocating under shame and isolation. Yet somewhere deep inside, a spark of hope refused to die. Years later, that spark led her to the hit reality show Botched, where two world-renowned surgeons heard her story without judgment. They knew the risks. Removing the toxic substances completely could cause even more harm. Still, they worked with painstaking care to reduce the most visible damage. The results weren't perfect, but they gave Raji something far more valuable than smooth skin: the courage to face the world again. Some hardened nodules still remain beneath her skin, silent witnesses to her ordeal. But instead of hiding them, Raji wears her survival like a badge of honor. Today, she's a fearless advocate, warning others about the dangers of unlicensed and underground cosmetic procedures. Her message is clear and unflinching: beauty should never come at the cost of safety, dignity, or life itself. Raji's journey, from victim to survivor to activist, is proof that resilience can grow from even the darkest mistakes. She didn't just reclaim her face, she reclaimed her voice. And if you think her story is unforgettable, brace yourself. The next transformation didn't just change a face. It sparked an international scandal that still fuels debate to this day. Donatella Versace's transformation is one of fashion's most fascinating and fiercely debated evolutions. It's part glamour, part reinvention, and entirely unforgettable. In the late 1990s, after the shocking and tragic murder of her brother, Gianni Versace, Donatella stepped into a role few would dare to take on: the creative heartbeat and public face of the legendary Versace empire. In those early years, she embodied Italian elegance, sun-kissed skin, long platinum hair that shimmered under the lights, and a confidence so effortless it commanded both the runway and the red carpet. But as time passed, her appearance began to shift, subtly at first, then with a boldness that sparked both fascination and fierce debate. The first noticeable change was her nose, once softly Mediterranean in shape, now slimmer, sharper, and more defined, hinting at rhinoplasty. It was the opening act in a cosmetic journey that would, over time, dramatically redefine her face. Her once natural complexion grew taut and ultra-smooth, with a polished sheen many believed came from multiple facelifts and skin-tightening treatments. Under the spotlight, it created an almost porcelain effect, though critics argued it stripped away the warmth of her earlier look. Her lips became a signature statement, fuller, more dramatic, unmistakably enhanced with fillers. Her already striking cheekbones grew even more pronounced, possibly from implants or injections, sculpting her face into something as high fashion as it was unapproachable. Even her eyes appeared subtly reshaped, the skin around them tightened in a way that suggested blepharoplasty. Through it all, Donatella has remained famously tight-lipped about the details. She never confirms, never denies. She simply appears, tanned, immaculately styled, and unapologetically Donatella. In her world, the conversation is about the clothes, the art, the empire, not the scalpel. And perhaps that's the secret to why her transformation remains so compelling. Was it an act of personal expression? The crushing pressure of an industry where youth and beauty are prized as fiercely as talent? Or the deliberate choice of a woman who controls her image as masterfully as she controls her brand? Whatever the truth, Donatella Versace's face has become as iconic as the Medusa logo she reigns over: bold, polarizing, and impossible to ignore. But stay with us, because next, we're stepping into the story of a celebrity whose surgeries didn't just transform their appearance, they built an entirely new identity. Jocelyn Wildenstein, forever immortalized in pop culture as the notorious Catwoman, is one of the most unforgettable and controversial faces in the history of extreme cosmetic transformation. Her story began in the glittering world of 1990s high society during her whirlwind marriage to billionaire art dealer Alec Wildenstein. What started as a few subtle enhancements soon spiraled into a decades-long, multi-million-dollar metamorphosis. A transformation said to have cost over $4 million, one that would become her signature and her legend. The inspiration, according to countless reports, was as unusual as it was personal. Alec was fascinated by exotic big cats, and Jocelyn, eager to embody their sleek, feline allure, began sculpting herself into his fantasy. Over time, her procedures grew bolder, reshaping her face into something unmistakable. Her eyes, perhaps her most famous feature, were lifted again and again through blepharoplasty, giving them that permanent, wild, cat slant recognized around the globe. Her cheeks, sharpened by implants and fillers, became high and chiseled, almost statuesque. Her lips, fuller and more pronounced than in her youth, sealed the transformation, while the flawless tightness of her skin whispered of countless facelifts across the years. The tabloids called it excess. Late-night hosts turned her into a punchline. But Jocelyn never wavered. She rejected the label of surgery addict, insisting her look was not born from obsession, but from her own interpretation of Swiss beauty ideals, a daring mix of symmetry, refinement, and audacity. Now in her 80s, Jocelyn still walks New York's high society circles with unshakable confidence. Her look is as much a part of her identity as her couture gowns and opulent lifestyle. Love her or hate her, she has become a living conversation about beauty, choice, and the lengths people will go for self-expression. And that's the thing about Jocelyn Wildenstein. You can call her a fearless original or a cautionary tale, but you can't ignore her. Her story isn't just about image, it's about reinvention. A reminder that in the world of cosmetic surgery, the line between art and excess is as thin as a surgeon's scalpel. Thank you for watching Exposed Hollywood. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next story.